This is the Great Sudoku for AngryMarks.com. You can get at me on Twitter at Great Sudoku. Coming to you here today on the 23rd of July for my recap of the G1 Climax and the events that went on today. The first note that I have about the G1 Climax today is the production quality was very, very poor, and we saw a lot of this during the Best of the Super Juniors. There's one hard cam, some of the wrestler entrance music gets muted, there's no commentary, sometimes the ring announcer gets muted. Even the ring entrance lighting was so bright, and the one hard cam that was there was in such a bad position that when the ring entrance lights were on, you couldn't see what was going on in the ring. The light just completely washed out anything in the ring. It did come into play in one of the matches. Luckily, they fixed that kind of quickly, but yeah, it's kind of sad to see that they do the one hard cam, but hey, it is what it is, and we'll get right to the matches. It didn't deter me from watching or enjoying it. We'll go through the undercard first. There's not a lot to talk about in the undercard, so we'll just be kind of brief with that. Your first match of the night was Jushin Thunder Liger and Tiger Mask versus Jay White and Yohei Komatsu. Tiger Mask picks up the win in this one with a perfect textbook Tiger Driver pin on Jay White. It was an opening match. It is what it is. Second match of the night, we had Kota Ibushi, Captain New Japan, Togi Makabe versus the Bullet Club, consisting of Cody Hall, Doc Gallows, and Bad Luck Fale. And yeah, boy, did Makabe pick up a win in impressive fashion here. He had Cody Hall in the corner. He nailed him with like 6 clotheslines there in the corner, went up to the top turnbuckle. Big guy like Makabe jumping off, finishing Hall off with the King Kong knee drop and getting the pinfall victory. And for the second time in the tournament, I've seen Kota Ibushi hit this awesome spot where he's in the ring. He'll sling himself over the ropes onto the second turnbuckle on the ring apron and then immediately hit a moonsault. It's essentially a springboard moonsault to the outside, and he took out Fale and Gallows with that during this match, and I'm definitely a fan of that spot and definitely a fan of Kota Ibushi. Yeah, so that's enough about that match. We'll get on to match number 3, which I really don't want to talk about. It was the worst match of the night, but I will be brief in mentioning it. This was Tama Tonga and AJ Styles versus Toru Yano and Yoshihashi. In the words of the great Takumi Shinoku, no, you go die. And I direct that directly at Toru Yano. This match was just complete shit, and there's no way to sugarcoat that. Yano pulled his little chicken shit gimmick where he'd run around the ring like a sissy for most of the match. Every time he got tagged in, he'd kind of run around, try to hide, and then slide back to his corner and tag out and roll out of the ring like he wanted no part of AJ Styles or Tama Tonga. But somehow Yano managed to schoolboy Tonga and get the 3 count. But yeah, the less said about this match, the better. It was crap. The last undercard match of the night was a 6-man tag team match involving Katsuyori Shibata, Ryosuke Taguchi, Hiroshi Tenzan, and they took on Mascara Dorada, Tetsuya Naito, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. And with this match, there was a few things that are going on with it that I'll touch on. The first is Naito's heel turn, and there is absolutely no reason to do such a slow burn with it. Also, with this heel turn, it's like there's absolutely no reason to bring out Tetsuya Naito with faces like Hiroshi Tanahashi and Mas. If you want this guy to be a heel, here's what you do, New Japan. You have Tetsuya Naito out for his next G1 Climax match in a jacket. He takes off his jacket. Underneath his jacket is a Bullet Club shirt. Naito is the next member of Bullet Club. There you go. Instant heel. Done. But anyway, getting back to the match here, there was a spot that I really liked where Shibata took Naito's shirt, pulled it up over his head, kicked Naito square in the back of his head, and then locked a figure 4 on him with the shirt still up over Naito's head, which was a lot of fun to watch after Naito's semi-heel antics in the match. It was fun to see him get punked by Shibata like that. And the referee, while Naito was in this figure 4, actually had to go and pull the shirt down off of Shibata's head just to check and see if Naito wanted to tap out to the figure 4 or not. So I thought that was pretty cool. The finish to this match, Ryosuke Taguchi, the funky weapon, somehow managed to channel the spirit of Shinsuke Nakamura. He did the swagscape pose, he did that downward dog taunt, and finished Mascara Dorada off with a bomb IA and got the pin. Now, my problem with this, and what I don't understand, is you have Shinsuke Nakamura himself in the main event on the card tonight, so we know he is in the building. Here you have Ryosuke Taguchi, completely mocking Shinsuke Nakamura, and we didn't have Nakamura do a run-in and just lay Taguchi out and lay a severe beating on him, and I want to know why. New Japan booking just lacks this certain creativity. You can see it in not turning Naito heel, not knowing what to do with that, and not having Nakamura just come out and flatten Taguchi for impersonating him. But hey, it is what it is, and they picked up the win with the bomb IA from Taguchi. We'll move on to the first match of the actual G1 Climax B block. We had Satoshi Kojima versus Tomohiro Ishii, and I have been waiting for this match since Monday when Ishii spat on Kojima during their tag match. Ishii manages to put away Kojima with a stalling brainbuster to get the victory here, and Kojima was a little no-selling bitch in this match. I mean, he was no-selling things to Hulk Hogan and Taz levels of no-selling. And yeah, man, there was a spot where Kojima was seated, and Ishii would chop him down, and Kojima sat back up like The Undertaker. Ishii would chop him down again. Kojima sits back up. I mean, there were suplexes that Kojima no-sold. Kojima was no-selling everything, and it was great to see a guy like Ishii of his size and strength, just get the victory in spite of all the no-selling that was going on from Kojima. So, way to go, Ishii. Hey, a victory for Chaos. Very good. Next match we'll move on to is Yujiro Takahashi versus Hirooki Goto, and there's two things that I want to touch on here first. We'll get to the match second. The first thing I want to talk about is actually Takahashi's character, and most people just kind of see him as the throwaway token Japanese guy in Bullet Club, but during the match I noticed a lot of things that he was doing, and the common theme to what he was doing seemed to be using moves from famous WWF and WWE wrestlers. He hit the Kurt Angle Slam, he hit a snowplow, he teased the Dominator a few times, and I'd really like to see Takahashi continue with this because that can really add something to his character. Instead of being the token Japanese guy, his gimmick could be, he does moves of famous WWF and WWE guys past and present. That would be a great gimmick to use in Bullet Club and give him some credibility not only in Bullet Club but with the fans and with New Japan Pro Wrestling in general. So I do hope Takahashi sticks with this because this is something that could make him stand out as opposed to just being the Japanese guy in Bullet Club. But anyway, he lost the match tonight. Goto won this impressive fashion, hitting the Ushi Toroshi and then finishing him off with the Shotenkai. Boy, I hope I pronounced that right. Ushi Toroshi. I did pronounce that right. And then Shotenkai. And if you haven't seen these moves, check out the top moves of Hirooki Goto on YouTube. You'll see these moves that I'm talking about. They were impressive. So Goto picks up the win, and Takahashi gets the loss. We'll move on to match number 7, which was Tomoaki Honma versus Yuji Nagata. And Nagata gets the win after 2 backdrop suplexes. Nagata went for a backdrop suplex, went for a pin. Honma kicked out at 2.7, but undeterred, Nagata just picked Honma right back up, planted into the mat with an even higher angle, pinning backdrop, her neck bump. That got the 3 count, and that got the victory. So yeah, Nagata goes over Honma in this one. It was a decent match. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad, but the finish was really good. I did like that. We'll move on to the next match, which I consider to be the main event. We had Michael Elgin versus Kazuchika Okada. And Michael Elgin knows that this is his time to write his ticket. He's got a blank check here in New Japan Pro Wrestling in terms of making a name for himself, and make a name for himself he did. There was a spot in this match where Elgin was standing on the inside second turnbuckle ropes. Not only did he hoist Okada up hard way from the ring apron, oh no, he held Okada up stalling suplex style, but not only did he hold Okada up stalling suplex style, he buried Okada into the mat with a beautiful avalanche falcon arrow that got a 2.8 count before Okada kicked out. And yeah, Bobby Fish, if you're listening to this, watch this match and take notes on how to do a proper avalanche falcon arrow because you always botch yours. Unfortunately, it wasn't Elgin who got the win in this match. Okada did kind of get the WWE finish, so to speak. He planted Elgin into the mat with a tombstone piledriver, followed up with a Rainmaker Lariat to pick up the victory, and it is what it is. I really don't like those WWE finishes, especially with a guy like Okada whose moveset is so deep. He's got Heavy Rain. We haven't seen him pull that out. We haven't seen him use Red Ink. We haven't seen him use Deep in Debt. He's got these other moves that he can go to, but yeah, it's always, Rainmaker Lariat 1, 2, 3, and that's exactly how this match ended. We'll go to the match that was supposed to be the main event tonight. I didn't quite see it as a main event. It certainly was an upset. We had Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Karl Anderson, and Karl Anderson actually gets the victory in this one, which seemed like the 50,000th cutter that he gave, finally able to pick up the pinfall victory there. But yeah, I'll give Anderson his due from Nakamura and kicked out at 2.8. So way to go, Bullet Club. Karl Anderson picking up the win there. And that is your final main event match of the night. Karl Anderson goes over Shinsuke Nakamura. Again, this is the Great Sudoku for AngryMarks.com. I'll be doing audio recaps every day the G1 Climax is going on. If you have any comments or want to get at me, you can hit up my Twitter, which is @GreatSudoku.